This is a part 2 to talking about some of the greatest TV show endings of all time. I don't want to hear any slander in the comments. The first TV show we're talking about is The Office. I can understand people's complaints with where the later seasons went, especially with Michael Scott leaving the show. However, I think the ending was perfect. They wrap up every plot line beautifully. All of the characters come together, and despite all of their feuds and problems with each other, they come together as a family, and they even bring back some of the other characters that left a few seasons before. Also, I love seeing the aftermath of them essentially becoming famous because of the docu-series that was being filmed, which is essentially what we've been seeing throughout the show. I think it's a really happy ending, yet a very sad one because it's the ending to such a great sitcom, my favorite sitcom of all time. Next, we are talking about Mr. Robot. Just like in typical Mr. Robot fashion, the ending is a twist, and then it's another twist because this show is the king of twists. It just keeps going with the twists. I will say what leads up to the final scene in the show is a little odd and did take a little bit of retrospective to figure out exactly what the meaning behind it was. But the actual ending, spoiler alert, Elliot finding out that he's been actually repressing the real Elliot in his head really is the perfect way to end a show like this. The last show we're talking about is The 100. Now, I have a lot of problems with the final season of the show, but the actual ending itself was perfect. Now, if you've seen the show, you probably understand the issues that I have with the final season. Cough, cough, Bellamy. And the last season does have a lot more sci-fi and unrealistic elements compared to some of the other seasons. The way I see it is there's no other good ending to the show. They could have just ended on a much worse note than what we actually got. And seeing the characters that survive the show and that we've come to know and love end up be happy at the end and finally be done with conflict that they've been dealing with for 7 seasons was really refreshing to see. I almost forgot one. We need to talk about Prison Break. So this show has 2 endings. It had 4 original seasons, and the ending to the season outside of Breaking Bad is probably the best ending I've ever seen to a show ever. However, 10 years later, it then came back for a 5th season, and then they ended it with not as good of an ending, but still a very good ending, especially compared to a lot of shows. I feel like this show doesn't get enough credit in general, but also with its endings.